be on LinkedIn until you've accomplished something. And going halfway through college, I'm not saying that you don't have a job, but being a student in college and telling me that you're an intern, that you're not.
Maybe it should be like Clubhouse where you have to actually have an invite.
No.
Huh?
No, Clubhouse is. No.
Maybe it is.
No, but you need to have. I saw you're a. What do you call yourself on LinkedIn? Proprietor. What are you?
I am
principal.
And Diana Jones.
No, what are you? You have a title on something on LinkedIn. I
am a proprietor of ownership of radio.
There you go. No, you're not. You're so full of shit. You don't know what
I'm a rock tech guy.
You're not a rock tech guy.
Hey, according to IBM,
No, you're a owner. You're a principal. You're a principal or you're founder. That was it. That's what I was looking. You're a founder. No, jeez, you're never gonna get anywhere unless you get professional on this. You're the founder of K Communications.
Yes.
There you go. Which has one of its subsidiaries is KCast Radio.
Yes.
There you go. That's what you need to do. And now I noticed yesterday when I was posting something on LinkedIn, something very professional, that I think you liked something that I did. You endorsed. Now you can endorse people on LinkedIn. Do you know that? It's different than a like. Actually, you would relate to this. An endorsement is not unlike on LinkedIn. An endorsement is like what we do on radio.
Yeah.
I endorse Josh because he has great communication skills and he's a great psychologist. Actually, I'll tell you what. You endorse me, and I will endorse you.
No, it's funny because I honestly, I know I'm going through a different time in my life right now, and I know I'm a little on the outside of the social media explosion, which for like a 55, because I'm young at heart and I feel like I'm in my 30s, and so there are so many things to get on. So when you get having rethought everything I've done, I think I'd go one social media platform and just hammer it. You know, my dad said, do one thing and do it really well. You don't have to do it all, right? So we get on Twitter and we're like, okay, I like Twitter because you get in and get out. You get in and get out. And then Facebook, you're on there for 4 hours. It's impossible. People just because they don't want to respond. They don't want to respond.
Well,
look,
Dr.
Dr. Josh liked my post. And you probably didn't. And I like your stuff. I don't even read it. I trust you. So I'm like, yeah, I'll throw a heart at him. I'll throw a like to him. So I throw a heart. So I'm liking like 75 things just to let people know I'm engaged with them. And I'm on here. I'm here.
That's brought people's careers down.
Yeah, I know.
Did you see what Tony Curry liked?
Whatever.
Oh my God.
Oh, I like your stuff. It's great. And they're like, oh, that was. And then they like my like. Thank you for liking. Yes. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, when the hell does this end? When does this cycle end?
Right. You can like a tweet and then you can retweet a tweet.
The like.
And you can retweet a tweet with a quote on the tweet that says you like the tweet.
So I'm talking to a good friend of mine from IBM last night.
There you go.
From a platform, a software platform. Doesn't work for IBM. His name's Dusty, and he's like, hey, listen, man, they just threw out a big shout out to you there from IBM. You need to get on there. And I'm like, oh, God. Here we go. It's like, oh, your aunt you haven't seen in 75 years is coming to town. You need to go have dinner with her. Okay. So I go, and I'm getting in there, and next thing you know, I'm like trying to navigate through all stuff.
You have a profile on there.
I know.
Did you know?
What I did? No, you know why I did that? You got to get on LinkedIn.
Yes.
You got to get on Facebook. You got to get on Instagram.
You're already on.
You got to get on
Facebook.
TikTok. You got to get on Twitter. And I'm like, how in the world? And then if you got people that follow you on, because I don't know anyone that's on all of them unless you're a business.
Everybody's
so if you're on all these things, you're posting the same.
You're the only one that is not on all of them.
I am on all of them. I'm on all of them. I'm just not on all of them.
No. Now here,
I'm on all of them. I'm just not on all of them. I'm not on like 24 hours a day. I don't know how people have the time. I don't.
It's called cross-posting.
There's a woman yesterday who reached out to me on Twitter.
Yes.
She works for Forex Investors.
Nice.
She had like 1,000 followers, and she followed me, and she's got the dark brim glasses, the long black hair, and I was like, okay, stripper, and I was like, no, this is a Forex trading company. Yes. I was like, okay, and so I looked it up to make sure it was real, and so she DMs me like right off the bat. I'm like, okay, she's an investor. She's like, and of course it was the hey, and I was like,
no, yeah,
here we go. Okay. I was like, hey, and I was like, how much is a lap dance? And I was like, no, I backed it off. I was like, hey, and she
want you to have more followers?
I don't know. First of all, she treated me like I was a man and not a piece of meat because I'm not a piece of meat.
You're very vulnerable right now.
I said, okay.
God.
I says, okay. She goes, well, what do you do for a living? I said, okay, great opportunity to get a download for the KCast radio app. And I said, I own a radio station here in Birmingham, Alabama. It's called KCast Radio. Download it. You can hear my show tomorrow morning or whenever.
Okay.
And then she goes, that's super cool. I'll download your app. And she
Absolutely.
goes, and so I was like, what do you do? And she goes, I'm a bank investor for
Yes.
this company called Forex. And I was like, oh, that sounds very
Is
exciting.
it 4X, 4?
I think it's
X,
I think
or
it's 4X.
XXXX?
I think it's Forex.
Okay.
Forex, something like that.
Well,
I went and
Forex.
checked it out, and it's
Okay. Legit?
they use robots. They take the human element out of the invest. I'm giving her a commercial right now. They take it's all robotics. The robot picks everything.
So it's like, okay, so it's algorithm driven.
Yes. In other words of saying a robot's doing your picking for you.
Okay.
And if you lose, they pay you back.
Oh, it's that
if you
kind
lose
of
money, they pay
investment.
you back.
Oh, okay.
Which is the biggest
but
crock
here's
of crap I've
okay,
ever heard in
I
my
thought she
life.
was
I'm
an
like, no.
investment to invest. Okay.
So
Yeah,
she's in Japan. And I'm like, this is cool. I'm talking to a good-looking woman in Japan who's an investor.
You've seen her? You've seen a picture of her?
Yeah, on Twitter.
Oh.
She got long black hair, and she's sitting in front of a computer, and she's got the screen up, and she's
You
got
see
the
where
black
it's-
rim,
but
and
you see this where
she's
your head-
buttoned up, and I'm like, okay, this is
Not a
not
stock photo from.
Right.
could
Katie
be an
Anderson.
investor
And this is where your
stripper.
head's going. Like, you shouldn't be going there.
Could be an investor
You need to
stripper.
be thinking about biz development.
So I furthered my conversation with her, and then it eventually got, well, would you be interested in learning more about investing?
There you
And
go.
I was like,
There.
oh, here we go. And I said, I'm not a piece of
Sales
meat.
development.
And I said, would you be interested in listening to some Led Zeppelin tonight at 7:30?
That's good. That's good.
So I texted her back, and I said, did you just hear that song I played? And she said, I did. I love that song. And I
Okay.
said, what was it?
Oh.
And I haven't heard back from her. So I called her.
But
ass
that
out.
was good. I am very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
That was biz
And then I
dev.
got her phone number. She's coming next week to have lunch with me and going to go visit
That
my
was biz, but that
75-year-old
was
aunt.
biz dev. That's what you need to be doing on LinkedIn. It's hard. Listen, it is hard. You are in a demographic that, I mean, I'm in it too. I'm the same age, where if you go and you're creating a new business, coming out of what you used to do, it is a very different world. It's not impossible, but there is there's definitely a learning curve, and you can get overwhelmed. But I'll tell you this. I work with, I know a lot of venture capitalists, and to your point, they're not all on everything. Like, they do pick they tend to use Twitter as their sort of commentary part because it's short and sweet. At least half of them tend to be on LinkedIn, but it's more like their resume. They do Clubhouse, but they do Clubhouse as usually part of a panel. It's not like what to do on a Saturday night. It has to do with, Bitcoin investing or whatever. But they are selective. They have basically have a portfolio of social media. Now you're kind of starting to do that.
Yeah, if I didn't have a business, I wouldn't be on it. I mean, I'd be on there to screw with people.
Well,
but I
you
would
know,
not be
you
on a
wouldn't
business.
need to.
I know.
You wouldn't need to. And
That's the unfortunate thing for businesses, because like last night I saw a bounty commercial. Follow us on Twitter. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Why would I follow Bounty? And it had 7 million followers.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, who the hell is following Bounty towels on Twitter?
I think your Zip Up should have their own Twitter account.
Thank you very much. I know.
How many Zip Ups
Oh,
you
you
got?
got. Jesus.
It was really cool down here this morning.
He's really cold and he's got a meeting today. You see that?
Actually,
Do you have a meeting?
No, actually, I just wanted to look nice. Just trying to look nice for my homies. So culturally, this is really interesting. This is interesting because I'm talking to this Japanese woman, right?
Wearing your zip ups.
I should find out what her name is and tell you what her name is, because her name is not Japanese.
Okay.
But she looks Japanese.
Oh, jeez.
No, she looks like she's Japanese, much like I look American. It's okay. I'm not being racist or anything, right?
Well, you kind of are. Good.
So I see this thing about this
kinda
inoculation, and people who I saw last night that Vermont is leading the nation in inoculations. 51% of their entire state has now been double inoculated. That means they're fully double inoculated.
But 70, there's a whole list of 70% ones that have been.
Yeah, that don't count.
Yep.
That's one time it don't count. And so Alabama is at 29.2% fully inoculated. I don't know what the one shot is. Right?
So there's a whole list of.
You're the
70%.
double inoculated, or are you just half-assing it?
No,
we were at like 51%.
No, 29.2% it was as of
And
last
I think
night.
we bottom. I don't know how you say this. We were better than Mississippi, and the last numbers I saw, and I could be wrong, we fell beneath. We were the lowest.
Yeah, well, we're faithful and we're religious here. We don't need it. So you know how when you go in, and I know this AT&T things, they got this thing where now when you go in to buy a new phone, existing customers don't get the deal. Well, now they're changing that. So if I'm an existing customer and
Yeah,
they have
I've
a
seen the
deal that's
commercial,
better than my deal, I want that
Yes.
deal,
Oh,
right?
you
As they
did
should.
the
So
commercial.
I'm saying this now, because if you haven't been inoculated, I think you're one of the smart ones at this point, because we're going to be giving you everything to get inoculated at this point.
Yes.
The Governor Jim Justice of West Virginia came out last night.
Yeah.
And he's got this thing going on for Father's Day coming up on June 20th. If you're between the ages of 12 and 25, on June 20th, they're giving away 5 shotguns. This is West Virginia. This is so cultural because I'm like, this is great. They're giving away 5 shotguns. They're giving 4 yearly hunting permits for deer and beaver. Okay? They're giving away they're giving away 4 free pickup trucks.
With gun racks?
With gun racks on June 20th. And he said, listen, when they start this now, y'all need to go get them because they're going to go quick. We need to make sure we get you inoculated. We're going to set you up hunting. You're going to have a pickup truck. You're going to have a shotgun. You're going to have it all. And
That
then,
makes me feel better.
the next thing
That
is,
makes me feel so much
the
better.
next thing is they're giving away 4 free college tuitions at any state college.
Okay, well,
I don't
Ohio
know.
did that.
I don't know how many people that are in West Virginia actually want to get a West
stop.
Virginian institutional type of
Virginia?
education.
West Virginia and Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I have to be careful here because Nick Saban is a West Virginian. I get that. And then $1 million prize.
Okay, they
which are gonna
copied that
going
from Ohio.
And then in August 1st, if you get inoculated, you could own the entire state. They're giving away the state of West Virginia. You can have the state of West Virginia September 1st. You can win the entire state and be governor for a day.
So I agree with you. Listen, I agree.
I'd hold out right now. I'd wait.
I agree
it's
with
gonna
you.
get better.
Yeah, but here's the deal. I agree with you, and this is a problem. I'm seeing this in lots of companies. They're having to incentivize people to get the vaccination. But what they are doing, and I thought that was it was good and it was bad because it's exactly what you said. We see this with like incentives for diabetes, right? Literally, and this doesn't happen. I've seen this with companies where they'll say, well, we don't want to give an incentive for people who to manage their diabetes and not give it to people who don't have diabetes because, but this is rational, because then people will get diabetes or they'll start smoking. And I'm like, look, you're not giving away that much.
Yeah.
To get but what I found out, I don't know if you saw this, about the winter in Ohio. In Ohio, it was anyone who was vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is good. Ironically, the girl who won, she was 22 years old, first of all.
Yep.
She had already been long time vaccinated, double vaccinated.
Good.
So I felt like you were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You got,
It's like a person walking in to win a prize at a bar, and then the last person walks in, they win the thing, and there's been a guy that's been in the box for 6 months.
That's
I've done enough
exactly.
radio promotions, yeah. So everyone should. So this is just for first-time inoculators. So
Are you sure?
Pretty sure,
No, I don't think it is. I bet it's anyone who's inoculated. I'll bet it's anyone who's inoculated. But that serves. Listen, I actually think that's super smart because it serves both purposes. It says to the people who have been inoculated, you get a chance at a truck and a guns and a gun rack.
You did the right thing. You should be. They should have a special drawing for people who got inoculated
you get
before
two-
they had to be enticed to go get
You
inoculated.
get 2 balls in the rolling ball thing. Yes.
Because you did it without
But
being.
did you ever think we'd ever see this? Well, we never thought we'd see a pandemic, but we were getting to this point. Now, what do you think we should do in this state? Because I've got some ideas. What do you think we should do in this state?
If we get Bob Coker and do some hunting trips or something, I'm serious. There'll be people that would get inoculated. Listen, I don't like the fact that we have to entice people to save lives, but I know humanity in this country now, and I understand it, and certainly going through I understand where we need to be enticed by things. We love coupons. We love winning prizes. We do it here on this radio station. I get it. People love free stuff, and so I'm all about it. But at some point, they have to go, listen, this is the end of the road. This is the end of the road. And I'm telling you right now, from a guy coming from a standpoint where I'm not wealthy and I'm just getting by and I'm going paycheck to paycheck, there is more money and crap out there right now. I saw yesterday where Birmingham city employees, did you see this?
No.
Are getting a one-time check for all the hard work they've done during COVID-19. And the fact that, you know how much it is?
Any city employee?
Any city employee. All city employees.
Yeah. $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah.
A $5,000 check. Part-timers
nice.
getting $25. I almost went down there and got a job yesterday at Birmingham City Council. I want to work as a clerk or something.
Did you hear about your home state?
Yeah, what's California doing? No.
They have a vaccine lottery. So they're giving away $1.5 million to 10 people that got vaccinated.
Well, it's like it's like Ohio.
Yeah, but they're not much different than Alabama. They're only at 43%.
But no. But look at how many have had the first one.
We can't do that here. You know why?
Why?
Because we don't have a lottery.
No, but listen.
Well, yeah, sure.
No, but look at. I think, but first time vaccinations are 70%. First time, at least one. But here's the thing, and I was talking about this the other day. You're an odds guy. You're you should be a statistician. That's what you should be. But listen, here's the thing I was thinking about, because it's percentages. It's not the number of people.
Yeah.
You would think maybe it's harder to inoculate a greater number of people just by the logistics. Like we in this state, what do we have? Like just over 4 million people? Whatever. Our numbers should be higher, much higher, because isn't it easier to, like in terms of distribution?
No, I think it's all social economic. I think a lot it's the rural areas. We have a lot of rural areas here where people don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the finances, they don't have the vehicles, they don't have the way to get out and go to these inoculation places. I mean, we're closing. No, I think it's more. That's why you're seeing major cities getting a higher inoculation rate, because they can get one on the way to work. They're doing it in subway trains.
Yeah, my mom got with Six Flags. They're coming out to a lot of employers are contracting with companies that do flu shots, and they're coming out.
What they need to do is they need to do it at games. This fall.
Yes.
Because if you're going to have 100,000 people at Bryant-Denny, stand outside the place and go, if you've been inoculated, great. Would you like one while you're coming in? Why not?
The SEC tournament.
Yeah.
They were inoculating at the Hoover Met.
Yeah, they closed it right before the game started.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Which is like, why? But, I mean, yeah, like 2 days before the SEC baseball tournament, they stopped because it was getting in the way. We don't want to have inoculations during the SEC baseball.
Oh my God.
Alabama's got to win to get in. What are you talking about? Yeah, so, well, sure, we don't want. I mean, but seriously, why don't we do cotton candy, ice cold Coca-Cola's inoculations?
Yes.
I mean, I pay for one for $8.
What can you see?
We're here.
No,
Let's
you
go
see the kid? Mommy, I want my cotton candy.
Sure.
Just
get your snow cone and inoculation for $8. Keep the change. Here's your 10.
So let's talk.
That'd be a great way to get a kid to get inoculated. Since we're here, then he'd probably think you're taking him to the ball game just to get the shot.
Do you think, we were talking about yesterday, you and I were chatting about the whole disclosure medication thing, which is just.
Well, I had some people text me last night.
That's weird. I mean,
they love it.
But that's weird.
Oh, people my age love it.
Okay, but that's weird. It's just, if you're disclosing all your medications on an online thing, you got issues. But what about the vaccination? This has been a lot of talk. Do you ask for proof? So you meet somebody. And most
a lot of dating apps are doing this now. A lot of people, we did that story where if you go on, all the dating apps are doing it, Bumble and Tinder and all these things. You get special coins or special swipes or double super swipes or whatever if you've been inoculated.
But do you have to prove it? Like, do you have to upload? No, but I think because we're seeing it everywhere, right? The stores only. So funny, human nature. Only people who've been vaccinated can come in.
Here's the thing. People who have not been inoculated don't want to be inoculated. Right. So they're not telling people they're inoculated.
Right.
They stand by the fact that they're not inoculated.
I see what you're saying. Damn it, I'm not inoculated.
So they're not going to go in and go, I want a double Tinder swipe today. I'm going to tell people I'm inoculated. They're proud that they haven't been inoculated yet, or that they're waiting for that special moment. And people that have been inoculated you don't meet anybody going, yeah, I really didn't want to do it, but, I had to go in and do it. You meet people that I'm inoculated, I'm ready to go, and you meet people like, I'm good.
No, but I know a couple of people whose employer, because the EEOC now said that you can't, whose employer said you get inoculated or you're gone. And I know 2 people I can think of, I don't know them well, who are gone because they said, I'm not getting inoculated. The employer said, well, you can't work here then.
Yeah.
So this goes back to the whole, and it's more than inoculation.
You can always use religious backgrounds or whatever to get out of that too.
But this goes to you meet somebody.
Yeah.
And we talked about, you go through the list of stuff. We used to talk all about, do you tell them you have a history of STDs?
Yeah.
Do you say that or not? And then you're going through, you never ask people if they get the flu shot or not, but do you ask them, have you been inoculated? Do you ask them, what did you do during the pandemic? Like, because again, we could have, they could have their own dating sites for people who are not inoculated, anti-vaxxers, et cetera. But does it become an important social thing?
I am not going to date somebody because they haven't been inoculated. It would probably come up in conversation. Wow, my arm really hurts today. How about you?
So if they said, no, I'm not. I chose not to.
I don't even know if it'd come up in conversation, to be honest with you. If a 25-year-old is going out with a hot 26-year-old, he ain't going, hey, by the way, did you get inoculated? It's not even going to come up in conversation.
How do you?
I teach a class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's mostly UAB college students, and nobody's ever talked about it.
They're not, yeah.
And
And the guy,
inoculated or not?
No,
You don't know.
Nobody knows. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody
See,
cares.
I think that's a regional thing.
and
I think
I have found that when I walk into places and I don't have a mask on, and someone does have a mask on, I just blurt it out. Got the shot, man. I'm
Yeah,
good to go.
right.
And they look at me like, I don't give a rat's ass.
So
No, I don't-
Okay.
I
Good
don't-
for you,
I don't think
sir.
anybody I think that
They don't.
I'm seeing the mask wearers. Like when I go into Pizzits, I don't wear a mask anymore. Anywhere, Publix, Pizzits, anywhere. And most people don't have a mask on. And you have 2 or 3 that do, but they don't have that energy anymore.
And the math doesn't add up.
Right.
Because if only 29% of us have had full
I guess
inoculation and maybe 50%, it doesn't add up unless our area is doing the right thing,
So
and then
I
no one
went
else
in
will
the
be
grocery store
inoculated.
yesterday. Now here's, me, I get
Well,
nervous.
Birmingham's the most liberal part of Alabama. So you're going to have
I live in
most of
Shelby
your,
County.
most of your most people down there are vaccinated.
Okay, so we need to go
Most
through.
people.
Okay,
I mean, probably 90% of the 29%.
yes, which is that's
downtown,
and that's
Birmingham.
also an issue is the concentration. So I went. You know how I get very nervous about sort of social things. So I went into the grocery store yesterday, and I had so before the whole thing, I'd have my mask on to go in. Now I had it around my finger because and
Were you twirling it like
I
that?
was twirling it.
Nice.
And I was but I was watching. I was trying to figure out. I was watching how many people were coming in with masks and how many people were coming out taking off their masks. And it was so mixed that I didn't know what to do. So I went in because I've been vaccinated, and I looked around, and most of the people working there didn't have a mask on.
Yeah.
But a couple did. And so I went in without a mask. And I felt okay. I'm vaccinated. Nobody else wearing a mask. You don't have to wear a mask. It's all good. And then I went down an aisle.
Yeah.
And there was an elderly person who had a mask on. And I thought, okay, well, I'm okay. I'm vaccinated. I don't know that. But then there were 2 healthcare workers. I don't know. They had scrubs on.
Yeah.
They were masked. Then I went down the next aisle, and there were 3 people who were masked. And then I caved to it. I put my mask on. But I put my mask on, and I put it for like 2 aisles. Then I went back to the next 2 aisles, and they weren't masked. So I took my mask. I'm having complete mask confusion.
Here's my thing.
What?
If it says, and I went to a place, Kohl's, it said if you have been fully vaccinated, feel free to take your mask off, and so
That's
I
good.
did because
Yes.
I have been fully vaccinated, and I should have that right. If obviously the mask mandate ends what, the 6th or 5th or something like that.
No, mask mandate's
Is it
done.
already over? Okay, then I'm not.
The emergency.
Then I'm not wearing my mask anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not wearing my
What are you
mask
going to do
anymore.
with? Okay, here's another one. What are we going to do with all the old masks?
I burnt all mine.
Did you really? That's
I think we
weird.
should make bikini bottoms out
Well,
of them.
there's all kinds of.
That's a good
Listen,
idea. That's a great
By
idea.
the way, the masks lately that I'm getting just keep breaking apart. I don't
Well,
even
you
know
got
why.
the
I'm
cheapo
not.
ones.
Well, I'm not buying any more of them because I don't have to.
you seen the bedazzled ones?
No.
Now you and I.
And
talked-
that's the thing. What are we gonna do with all the really nice masks that people spent like $25 or $30 on, and they're gonna put it in a scrapbook and go, I
Yeah.
remember back in 2020.
Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're
Because
bar-
I threw away a bunch of cloth ones that Grandma made for the kids. I'm like, we ain't gonna have these around the house. There's no reason to have them anymore. Although, did you hear what happened in China yesterday?
Well, I know you can't have any more babies. I mean, I think you can have more babies.
A man contracted the bird flu in China
geez.
yesterday. 41-year-old
God, it's bad.
found
wait.
out he contracted it back in April. And but the Chinese government came out and said it's not a very affluent strain.
Yeah.
There's not variants that are and it's not really contagious. He's got a family that he's been living with unbeknownst to them. He had the bird flu. None of them got sick, so it is self-contained.
My kid had the bird
But
flu.
that's how it started.
Max had the bird flu.
Yeah.
Didn't even know he had it when he
It's
had
all
it.
about the animals coming back to kill us.
Yes.
Did you see
The bears? The
I saw-
woman fighting the
I
bear?
saw the bear.
She is bad at. Did you see
for
that
her
video?
dogs? For her
Did
dogs.
you see her just punch?
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Yeah, I probably would. Certainly if my children, she said I had to take care of my kids or kids were dogs. Yeah, I probably would. It was on a balcony. It looked like a thing. I thought it was going to fall off and it climbed back up and it ran into a tree. And then there was a video of a hippo. Did you see the hippo video? Dude, they're in Zimbabwe or something. They're on some type of safari and this hippo comes chasing down this boat. It's pretty scary stuff. And then the animal thing,
Yeah, I know.
an Air India flight had to make a diversion area, emergency landing. You know what was inside the plane?
They're in the alligator.
A bat. How the hell's a bat getting in an airliner?
You know,
It was flying around, and I was saying this earlier. If I'm flying to Las Vegas or I'm going on vacation and we're going to divert to Salt Lake City because of a bat, I will kill the bat. Let me take care of the bat. I don't care if it bites me.
You can't have to keep your seatbelt on because we haven't reached our
Give me the cruising altitude. No, they didn't realize it was at 35,000
Okay.
feet. Next thing you know, this thing's flapping its
Can you
wings.
see? And
And I'm thinking, how cool would that be?
no,
Bats aren't going to bother
but
you.
that freaks people out.
Oh, for
The
God's
flying thing, like if there was
sake. My
someone
vacation is diverted because of a stinking bat.
no,
on an
but
airplane.
if something's crawling down the aisle, I think people can keep their composure better.
Yeah.
But with something that's flying over your head, that freaks people out.
No.
Well, it's you just
It's not going to ruin my vacation. Not a bat. I had bats in my attic. I had 300 of them up there. We used to get out there
Well,
and watch them. I used to
that's
feed them
why.
bananas. I am not going to have my vacation run because of a damn bat on an airplane.
I've always said that if I get attacked by an animal that's like a bear or a mountain lion, it may take me out, but I'm going to bring something with me. It's going to remember that.
well, you say that.
It may take you out, but it's going to remember that
You
it
say
can't.
that.
I'm going to take an eye, or I'm going to
You
take
say-
something. I'm going to take something with
Do
me.
you see how that but you say that, but you don't know that.
Of course, I don't know.
I'm going to
that,
run
'cause
like
I'm-
hell.
should
Or no, you're not supposed to run.
No.
The whole "you're not supposed to run" thing is the most contrary to everything in our fiber and our being.
Well, no, there's three. You know this as a psychologist. There's 3 ways to react to something.
Look at him.
There's there's fleers, there's freezers, and
there's
then there's
right.
reactors.
Yes.
So
but
you're
the-
a fleer.
No, but with a bear, you're supposed to stay. The whole thing, you're supposed to stay calm.
Yes.
Stay
No, I
calm.
think-
Depends on what kind of bear.
No, I think with bears, you're supposed to
Run
you're supposed to act bigger than it is.
Yeah,
You're
like
you're
you
supposed
go,
to make
hey
a-
bear, hey
yeah,
bear.
you're
hey
supposed
bear."
to make a lot of
Which
noise.
is the one who's supposed to stay calm? Lion? Not lion.
Bats in an airplane,
Depends on
maybe.
how hungry it is.
See, I just like that doesn't. People say that all the time.
Would you make a pilot if you're in an airplane and there's a bat flying in the airplane and you got an hour flight to go,
I'm
and
gonna
everyone else in
continue
the plane
eating
is
I'm
like,
gonna
"We're
do
cool
deep-
with it. Let's just go." Are you going to make the flight? Are you going to make the pilot land the airplane?
Not for a bat. I'm going to do
Yeah.
deep breathing exercises with the entire place.
I'm just gonna watch my movie.
Do you
and
know? Hey, listen.
Mind my business.
Do you have you ever been on a plane? Listen, when you're on a plane and back in your day, and people would hear you speak and they wouldn't know your voice, but you have a voice where people say, well, you're in radio.
Yeah.
Did you ever sort of embellish a little bit to whoever's sitting next to you about what you did, or did you sort of disclose what you did to either make conversation or maybe before you got married to pick up on women? Did you ever do that?
No.
No.
I never had to embellish.
Speaking of embellishments,
I don't have to. Now, the last time I flew, this is sad. The last time I flew was in 2012. It was the Alabama University Notre Dame game. That's the last time I've been on an airplane.
That's when he bought these jeans too.
No, that was actually 3 years earlier.
my brother went to that game and he called me.
It's pretty
at,
sad. It's
at
been
the
9 years since
stadium.
I've flown in it.
Okay, you know what?
You said you even said back in the day. I have no reason to fly.
You
What
need-
I love to fly because I know I'm going somewhere fun. I don't fly to funerals. I just don't go.
You need
But
to
if I'm going-
fly
yeah.
someplace, dude.
Well, first of all, here's the deal. I got 3 kids, so if I'm
yeah,
flying somewhere,
yeah,
I'm
no,
probably
yeah.
buying 3 more tickets, and it's $1,800. I'm not going to do.
No,
it.
we did that. We went through that whole period of.
But I went through a lot of flights. I've flown all over the world before
Okay.
that. I've been to
So did you
Europe,
pick
I've
up
been-
women by telling them with your voice? No, I'm in radio.
Uh,
I'm a personality.
Is there a reason why you're asking?
I'm just curious.
Well, here's the deal. I you do breathing exercises with me every morning before we do the show,
Yes.
and I always tell you that if you whisper, you get a much deeper, fuller
Right. Oh, I need to keep doing that.
diaphragmical sound to your voice. When you're but if you talk like this, so when you're in an airplane,
Oh, it
you
works.
have to talk like this.
Yes.
Some of the best situations I've ever had
Mile High
was
Club?
when we had to. No, but I was on a private flight that happened. But if you're talking like this, or you're in it's quiet, maybe you're back by our cubicle,
Yes.
and you're like, hey, what do you got on sales going on today? That drives them crazy.
That's never happened to me.
I don't need to embellish.
That's never happened to me. I don't-
Could you?
That's never
No
happened.
shit. I would not think you'd be the type of guy to know that you should whisper to a woman back in a cubicle. First of all, because you're married. Second of all, you're you.
I can't do that.
Did you know that if there a bear came in here right now, I would run like hell? And then she's probably like, get out of
Now
here.
listen.
And then you'd eat your hummus and go
Now
like this and walk
listen,
out.
when I first started in practice, or actually when I first got my degree.
This is going to be a great story. I can't wait. This is going to be exciting. Go ahead.
Now listen, I tried to figure out what my psychotherapeutic style was.
Your psychotherapeutic
Yeah,
style.
like
So at
you.
24 years old, you were trying to figure this
That's
out.
all right. Well, I was because here I am seeing
right.
somebody for therapy, and I'm like, what am I gonna? How am I gonna? I mean, I knew what to say, but I'm like, I should be calm because that's the therapist was calm, and so I would.
Have you ever raised your voice in a therapy session?
Like you mean like out of anger or just like I
yeah,
do
not
here?
not for effect,
Frustration.
not for
Frustration.
effect, but truly got pissed off and raised your voice at a patient.
No.
You come close?
On the inside.
Yeah. Well, sure. You're a psychologist.
I'm like,
I
I'm
mean,
going to kill you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm experiencing a lot of conflict when you say that, and we should talk about why I would experience so much agitation with you speaking that way. Is that how you speak to your family? Because when you speak that way, then I feel like
here
this. That's But inside, I'm like, I'm freaking.
So, do most psychologists that, or any therapist, when they go through a socially psychiatric, what did you call it?
Psychotherapeutic?
Psychotherapeutic. Do they? Aren't you just you, or do you talk differently, or are you more methodical?
Well,
or are you
yeah, it's
more
interesting
regimented?
because you know Jules is a
I can't believe I asked that question because now he's going to go.
No.
Sorry, Brandon.
No,
I
listen,
should have never asked that
Well,
question.
people are very interested in this. They are because they want to know what the psychologist thinks.
Yeah.
They always want to know what the psychologist thinks, and they want to know are you BSing me with psychotherapeutic, with psychobabble? People always want to do that. The very first patient that I saw when I was in graduate school, I was on a hunt to help them. Like I was ready to help them.
Even if did they want your help?
Well, this is the problem.
Okay.
So they came in.
Yeah.
Unsolicited.
Yeah. But I'm here to help
I know you didn't ask, but I am a
they
psychologist.
came in for the appointment.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we always are taught the first thing you say, even though you've read the chart. So what brings you here today?
Yeah.
Which, see, some of those like lines.
car.
No, I know. Some of those
My
lines,
wife.
even when I would say them, I'd be like, I'd vomit in my mouth. Like, so what brings you here today? Well, I'm a little depressed. I didn't say depressed. I'm having some problems, no energy. And about 5 minutes into the session, I figured it out. See, because I thought like that was my job. It was like psycho detective.
Yeah.
I'm like, in my head, I'm like,
That's too soon, though,
I'm
right?
like, I know the diagnosis. I know and you know my style. I was in a rolly chair.
What'd you do for the other 55
So here's what I
minutes?
did. So so they're sitting there. It was a woman. She was sitting there, and she's like, "I've come in. I don't have a lot of energy, and I don't think that I'm very effective in the world, and all this stuff. And I'm young. I'm like, oh, bing, depression.
Yeah.
So I did this. I was like, I can help you.
Yes, you can like say.
I can help you. Now here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I can't touch it.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna work on your negative, irrational cognitions. And I've got a workbook for you here, and you're gonna feel so much better.
Oh, God.
So you go back and watch the video.
Oh,
Listen,
I'm getting
so glad I'm over
getting
here.
another doctor. I know.
listen. So this is great, and she's like, she's like, this is great. Thank you so much. You're gonna help me, and so I'm like, okay, that's all we're gonna do for today. I want you to go do that homework, and then when you come back next week, we're going to work on the next set of irrational thoughts, and you are going to feel so much better. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the scheduling group, I'm like, when does she come back? She's not. And
Oh, it's
I'm
a
like,
one-time deal.
Yeah, and I said, well, why? She said she's not coming back. And so,
Because of what you said to her?
well, listen, so
Wow.
back in the day, you had a review with your supervisor. There was tapes, videotapes in the thing, and then you sit and you watch with your supervisor, which is mortifying.
Yeah.
So you can see in the videotape me rolling towards her. You can see her lunging back. I was totally oblivious.
Yeah.
My supervisors, I'm like, he said, when's her next appointment? I said, there's not. And he's like, do you know why? And I said, I don't know. What's wrong? He's like, because you scared the shit out of her.
Oh, yeah.
She was not ready for it. And so from that point on, I had to adopt some sort of weird
I can see that.
thing.
Probably takes a little practice.
Well, not Jules. Jules was instant
Yeah.
because it's more authentic.
Yeah.
That's why I became a life coach.
Yeah, that would wig me out a little bit if my doctor lunged at me, but I would be happy that they felt so passionate about making me better.
See, for you, it worked.
Yeah.
For you, it worked. It did not work for her. But
It would scare me out of depression, probably. I think Naomi Osaki would probably go, hey, I'm good to go after that coming across the Where's my tennis racket? I'm ready to go.
I definitely had to work on modulating my voice.
Yeah.
Because my voice is not as good as yours at all, but it's loud. My voice projects. And so I had to work on calming my voice down. I also had to work on the whole idea of I got your answer to your problem. We have this in relationships all the time. I know what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And even if you know what's wrong with your partner, if they're not ready to hear what's wrong and you tell them what's wrong, then there's at least a 50-50 chance that they're going to tell you that that's not what's wrong, even though that's what's wrong.
I have about 4 or 5 friends of mine. They're all male that I've never seen them raise their voice, and I hold them in high esteem or standard just because I've seen them in situations where they could lose it. They never lose it, and I think that's really, really cool.
Are you that way?
I think I'm loud
That's
and
okay.
boisterous,
But
so I
I've
maybe
seen you.
take
I
it.
would
But
say you're that way.
No? I don't know. I can't. I don't know if it's like looking at your sister and saying if she's good looking or not. I don't because I'm too close to it. I don't think I could.
What?
But I do know some guys that I've never seen them. I've seen them get angry, but I've never seen them raise their voice, which is like, wow, they've got it really good. Now they may just explode one day. It may be spontaneous combustion. But I mean, for the most part, I'm thinking to myself, they've really got it under control. And for the most part, they do.
They do.
And they're very successful.
See,
and they've got kids. You know, they just.
But you never.
And I see the wife going off.
Okay.
And I see them. You know, and yeah.
My stepdad was that way. So my stepdad was super quiet.
Yeah.
Big man, water polo player.
People respect that. They like that.
Yeah,
There's a wisdom factor to really quiet guys.
Yeah, but you know what? What he would do, and I don't know if this was on purpose, he would be totally chilled. If there was something wrong, either with at a restaurant or with us, he'd say, I'm very disappointed. Here's what's going on. He was really, but then every once in a while, and it seemed like it came out of the blue, he'd lose his shit.
Yeah.
Just completely lose it. And never hurt anybody, whatever. But he had a loud, bellowing voice. And part of the reason it had so much effect was because he was so quiet all the time. So from a parenting standpoint, like if he got mad, you never knew when it was coming.
I don't know. I think you'd be more effective if you could keep it quiet the entire time, because when you know they're willing to go off, then you know they can go off at any point in time. And I think that takes away from the whole ideology of your point. And that is, whoa, he can go off, because no one wants to tiptoe.
Do you yell at your kids?
I used to. I don't anymore.
Really? Do you? Why?
I used to have to apologize to my neighbors about my youngest son. Now my youngest son's got challenges, and it was so frustrating because I felt like he knew better and he was doing things just to get on my nerves. And
you changed that?
I did.
How'd you do that?
I stopped drinking.
Well, no, because that's really hard.
No, I did. I mean, it was really tough. And he was going through he was going through a lot of different things. That's the only time I spanked him, and I was like, that backfired big time. I will never do that again.
So do you think going into a relationship, because that's different than parenting, going into your next relationship, will you, if you get angry, will you raise your voice at your partner?
No, I don't think well, if I have not raised my voice in the last 2 years, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not a screamer.
And let me tell you, I've heard you're a screamer. Here's the thing, though.
Well, not screaming.
Is and you have a son who does debate, and they drive you crazy because
that's right.
Particularly when you think you're losing the debate, and they really don't have any of a cause. They just have great vernacular and they have great word power, and you're like, what the hell? How am I losing this debate?
That's right.
Exactly. And so I'm like, okay, because they start trying to twist things around, and the old thing, well, you do this. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you. And next thing you know, you're arguing with a 12-year-old. I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you, but you can't do that. You can't say I'm not arguing with a 12-year-old because they need to see how you. So by bringing it down a little bit, I find that it drives them crazy, or it drives the spouse crazy, or it drives the other person you're dealing with.
Yes.
If you can, so much so that my ex used to call me Mr. Calm, Mr. Cool. Oh, how's it doing, Mr. Cool? And I'm like, and I would just.
So you
smile.
use it? Do you use
inside? I may have been seething. I've been thinking, you know what?
See, that's good.
But I was like, and it drove them crazy.
Is not only staying calm during fights and arguments, but calling them by their pet names. I used to do that in arguments where I would call them
that's
baby.
mocking them.
And no. I was genuine.
Oh,
it was a genuine.
But it was a fight.
I know, but I would be like, baby, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
See, and I would be like, don't you call me baby.
But that's the thing is, even for me, even in the midst of the argument, I still love this person. I still care for this person.
Y'all are too evolved. And
You know
I'm
what I'm
just
saying?
Man, yes, and that's a great point because I never
compassion.
called the only time I called my ex-wife by her first name was when we were having a serious discussion. I would always say, baby, hon, whatever, and I called her hon the other day, and she looked at me, and I was like, sorry, it's a term of endearment. Take it as the intention is intended. I mean, I'm trying to be, because I would never say her name. I don't think she's ever said my name.
Really?
Yeah, well, unless she was angry.
So I call Jules by her first name.
Yeah.
I don't call it.
Is her first name Juliana?
No, just Julie.
Julie?
Julie. And so what I do is during an argument, I'll either start or end if we're arguing with Julie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say, now, Julie, look, Julie, the real issue is, or Julie. Like, really what the issue is this, Julie.
Yeah, I
and
think
that's when it's on.
I think that's calling a person by their name while it's just you and her is somewhat of a mock. It's a control thing. It's a control thing because
You think I
you're
have control
talking,
issues?
Josh.
Yeah.
You're right here. I don't need to call you Josh. You know I'm talking to you. I'm looking right at you.
Yeah.
Now, if there's 3 or 4 people in the room, sure.
Right.
Hey, Brandon, what's up?
Right.
But if I'm having a conversation with you,
That's right.
and I had to say, Josh,
Yeah.
it's always something where I'm trying to make my point or I'm calling you out for something. Think about it. Or you're screaming sex.
Well, that's yes.
And sometimes I say my own name during that just because she won't.
Do you think I just thought about that?
Yeah.
No, nobody.
Speaking of which, it's really interesting because there's this underlying current, this vein of current that's going through the show today about cultural differences. We talked about the West Virginia thing, and I talked about the Japanese woman who's been hitting on me. And by the way, I'm opening my Forex account at noon today. I'll let the robots pick my stuff.
It reminds me of
This just goes to
foreskin.
show how different we are. I'm not saying I like this. I'm not saying it's right. I am in this age purgatory, remember life purgatory, where I'm in between really wanting to say and be who I am, who people always say I love, that you're willing to go off and be who you are and you talk for every man. That father figure where I'm thinking, okay, what I want my child to hear what I'm about ready to talk about, and then that stuff where we're doing podcasts, say whatever you want, cuss when you want to. Yeah. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear it raw. They want to hear the real thing. Right. You people dropping F-bombs all over their TikTok accounts and blah, 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 and people are eating it up. There's 3 million views, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. And so more than anything, I'm just trying to be authentic and just trying to be who I want to be. And so I see these stories or I read these stories, and I think, man, that's crazy. So there's this woman out of Denmark. She's a Danish journalist. She's got a journalism degree. Okay. She's 26.
Nice.
So this is like culture. She's okay.
Okay.
She's a little chunky, but she's blonde. She's good looking. And they are reopening all their swing clubs.
Yeah.
There's the first cultural difference.
Swing dancing?
Swing clubs.
Swing
For swingers.
I'm a swing.
For
I
swingers.
can swing dance.
For swingers, right? I know you can. Do you ever go to a car key party?
A what?
What?
A car key party.
Oh, he told me about this.
They do them at Greystone. Sorry.
Yeah,
You walk in, drop your car key in, you walk out, you pick someone's car keys up. Whoever picked car keys you pick up, that's who you go home with.
That's like a great party. Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it out here in Heatherwood next week.
Isn't that, do you choose, but you have to be very selective on who you invite. Like you got to screen for their meds and STDs and like all that kind
Are you inoculated? Was there a bat on your flight? I mean, did you get chased by a hippopotamus? Did you attack a bear last week?
Is that just out in Greystone?
It's eyes wide shut. No, it happens everywhere.
Does it really?
Yeah.
At what age? Is that an older swinger? You got to have money, like.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Well, you want to make sure whoever you're going home with has got something going for him. So you either have to be rich, good looking, or well hung.
And does everyone get laid, or is it just more of a?
I don't know if it's so much the sexual act. I think maybe you just kind of. I'm sure there's some cases. Hey, listen, we're next door to each other. I didn't know you were going to be here. Okay, tell your husband I said hi. One of those things. Yeah, tell you Jules I said hi too. Okay, hopefully I won't get your Beamer keys next week. I'll see you next Wednesday night at 9. Right. So this journalist is sent out to go to this swing club to talk about how swing clubs are back open. Evidently, that's a big thing over in Denmark, over in Holland. And I'm like, okay. So she goes in, and she's got a camera crew with her, and she's doing an audio clip. and she does a morning show over there, Danish radio, right? And I went and looked, I didn't hear the audio until, because I wanted to hear what it sounded like. But she's pretty well respected, right?
Okay.
And her GM sent her out. She works for a radio station just like we do. And she goes and has a couple of drinks, and they're talking, and she's talking to one of these guys on camera, and she's like, what do you see right now? How do you feel? Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, the first thing I can tell is you're not a swinger, and you may be a little uncomfortable. Yeah. And so she starts kind of buying into the idea.
Mm.
And so next thing you know, she's having sex with one of these guys. Yeah. And it's videotaped and audio taped. You can see it. It's all over social media. And here's
wait, so this would be the equivalent of but it's audio, it's video. So this would be equivalent of like a news journalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For a Danish radio station. I don't know if it was some radio station like Shock Radio. I don't know if it was a news organization. Right, but they also had a video camera.
They also had a camera. So
they did. I haven't seen the video, but I heard the audio. They didn't.
She got a camera guy with her.
And so she's there for like 2 or 3 hours, and you can hear everything going on. Well, here's the really funny part. They put it out on their station Twitter account.
Yeah.
Hey, did a great story this morning. I hope you enjoy the audio. And you can hear everything. I mean, it's as vivid as it sounds like a porn tape. And I'm like, and she's like, just want to let people know that this is not something my GM asked me to do. He didn't tell me I had to do it. I did this on my own accord.
Yeah.
And I don't have a boyfriend, and I really enjoyed it. And so she's getting blown up by a lot of people saying, this is sick. This is disgusting. What are you doing? But the majority of people, and maybe this is Danish radio, I don't know if they do things differently. Obviously they do. Could you imagine? A lot of people are saying how brave, how courageous. Wow, you really covered that story well, and glad you had a good time.
You really covered.
Then you got the people going, could you imagine if this was a guy that did this story?
Yeah.
He would get barbecued.
Absolutely.
He'd be fried, and he'd be fired the next morning.
Yeah.
But the fact that she owned it and put it on their station's website. If you pull up Danish Journalism Swinger Club, you'll hear it. It's all over the place. And I'm thinking to myself, and again, I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying it's right. Obviously, she's 26. She's single, and evidently swing clubs are pretty acceptable in that part of the world. I know I've been to Amsterdam.
It's social norms. I mean,
it's just bizarre to me. How different our social acceptances are. Certainly from a moralistic and an ethical, I think it's not something I would certainly do. And but could you imagine? We've had radio stations here get thrown off the air, morning shows, because they had 2 people have sex in a church. That's blasphemous.
Where?
That's not going to happen. I think Andy and Opie are one of those shows that got taken off the air because they had 2 people to win concert tickets or something. They did it on an altar or something. But I'm thinking to myself, how wild is that she actually released,
That's it.
Yeah.
What's the music?
That's the porn music. Yeah. And so I was kind of like, wow.
Did she release it, or did on behalf of the station? You know what I mean? Is it part?
I don't know who released it, but I mean they.
It's part of the story.
They owned it, yeah, and they said that's sure, because I mean, if I'm sending
that's like 60.
Ani Lindenberg out to cover a swing club. First of all, she's going to go, no. But we're in Birmingham, Alabama. It's different. But if we had swing clubs here, or prostitution was legal, and she was like, really rather not do that, or maybe she'd say, sure. Maybe she was single and she wanted to go out and do it.
To cover the story. But there would be I guess the part that, and maybe this is the cultural difference. If you're going out to cover the story, do you end up having sex? Well, she said, I enjoyed it, but are you having sex as part of the story to sort of experience the whole thing?
It turned out to be that way.
As part of the story, or are you sort of saying, I was out covering the story and I got caught, you're not excusing, but I got caught up in it. No, see, you can't work that way.
Journalism was so good that she actually bought into the whole idea. And she said, I wasn't a swinger,
yeah,
but I enjoyed it. I felt incredibly comfortable. And next thing you know, she said something like, what do you see? And he goes, I see a beautiful woman who would like to explore swinging. And she started laughing. On the tape, she starts laughing. She goes, really? And he goes, and he touched her knee. And next thing you know, it was on. And I'm thinking, I'm like, again, I'm not condoning it. It's just our cultural norms We talked about breastfeeding. Oh my gosh, there's a woman breastfeeding in B4 on Southwest Airlines. That's disgusting. I mean, I'm like,
I think
seriously, that's a natural thing. This obviously takes it to a whole different level, but we are so bunged up about, oh my gosh.
See, which is so interesting to me because we are so all about individualism.
And I like our lines. I do. I like our moralistic lines.
I think it's hypocritical. I think our moralistic lines are full of crap, to be honest with you, because we talk out of two sides of our mouth.
Well, I think there's no doubt we do that, but you have to tell the child they can only have one cookie or they'll eat 3. And so I am all about setting a really high line, a really high standard moralistically of a lot of things because I know it's going to be pushed. And if they go a little past that, it's really not that bad. If I sit there and say the speed limit's 55,
right,
and I'm going to allow you to go 60,
right, people can go 70.
And you go 63, 64, 65, you ain't going to kill anybody. Right. But if I sit there and say no one cares about the speed limit, go 70, they're going to go 90, and they're going to die behind the wheel. And so I want to set that standard. I think we do that with our kids. I think we do that with our kids at a very young age. Say yes sir, no sir, please, thank you. We set all the standards. Be who you want to be.
Right.
Don't
feel
have
like sex before you're married.
Don't be. Yeah, you do. And I think that's really good because if we learn, what's up, man? Hold on.
Some psychologists believe that the moral spectrum is based on intellect, a culture's intellect.
Well, intellect and or caste sort of system dominance, right? Because if you think about it, people will say the society is based. I mean, it's based on the smart, powerful people, if you will, dictating the church,
right?
The Pharisees, and that. I mean, it's to me it's interesting because it gets set. And then depending on where you live, it gets challenged, right? And you think about it here. It's been challenged. I'm only going back to the Roaring '20s, Prohibition, the 60s.
That's going to happen all the time.
That's right. Well, but to your point, that's what's going to happen. We're going to push the envelope. But I think the thing,
I think we're pushing the envelope in this country, in this world right now.
Yeah, but
because of social media, that's what I was talking about earlier in the show. I see people dropping F-bombs, and I'm like, I would never drop the F-bomb. Right. I'll do F star 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 K or F star star K. And even that makes me feel uncomfortable because I feel like once I broach that line.
Yeah, but you have a public
and I know guys like Clay Travis and stuff, they'll say it whenever they want, but people seem to like that. But I mean, in order for it to really mean something, you have to use it in an appropriate form. It's like a comedian who drops the F-bomb all the time. If that's what you like and that's great, that's fine. That's good. But if you're like, I was watching Brian Regan this morning, he never drops anything. And if he ever did, it would be like, whoa.
So that's what I think social media, all forms of social media, have allowed us to do, which is put it all out there. Do anything you want to do. Yep. Say anything you want to say. I know that the anti-discriminatory and anti-Semitic and racist and hate, but we've had to do those things because we said with social media and the internet, we kind of opened it up. Right, we opened it up. People let it all out, and then we were like, "Oh, okay, well, but that's not good, and that's not good." But to me, the interesting thing about this is we're gonna have to police. I shouldn't say that. We're gonna have to refine ourselves. Nobody is gonna tell us, like they're dropping the F-bombs. Nobody's gonna come in and go, "You can't do that on social media." And before we had social media, you still could do it. But there were a lot more barriers because you had to look somebody in the eye. And to me, it's changing the way our social norms are.
I know, and that scares me just a little bit.
It doesn't bother me at all.
There's also a cultural difference between, I worked for a guy that was born in South America. Obviously, his Spanish is his first language, and then he learned English once he got here. Well, to him, English cuss words didn't mean anything. And he would drop F and GD and everything in normal conversation in the most inappropriate social situations. But to him,
they were just words. Yeah.
It's like me saying a cuss word in Spanish. It really doesn't mean much.
And I think that's where I'm kind of torn right now in my life. Because I did classic rock. I was a crazy guy. I did all kinds of and I did do some wild stuff, right? And then I'm seen at a Christian men's conference. And people are like, "What's Tony Curry doing?" And I'm like,
yes.
You can be both, folks.
Yes.
Now you're
you can do, but you know that as one of my best friends. You know that better than anything.
Well, no, it is
you
true.
Can be You can drop an F-bomb out in the parking lot and go into church.
Yes.
You can do that. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but you can be
that's
both.
where-
And I think the majority of people are like that, but they want to be seen one way or another.
And that,
you're either way over here and you're willing to throw
that's
the
what-
F-bombs.
That's what I said, talking outside your mouth.
Yeah.
But look what happens with you. You're exactly right. You go into a public setting and people who don't know you other than they know you from their past, and you doing things like saying you're a devout Catholic, you're a great parent. People are like that. Tony Curry?
Michael Coleman is a good friend of ours from the Jimmy Hill Mission who knows my heart. He knows I'm a crazy guy. He asked me to do the Jimmy Hill Mission fundraiser, and I'm like, we'd be honored to have you. And I was like, thank you. I did something for the Ronald McDonald House. I raised more money for the Ronald McDonald House and their annual thing. It was like 10, 15 years ago when I was doing classic rock than any other person I've ever done. Wasn't invited back. Not because I was nasty. I was boisterous. I was loud. I went and picked on people in the crowd. We had a great time. People laughed. They said they had fun.
But it didn't fit.
You know, Mr. Curry, we really appreciate it, but it just really wasn't the way we visualized how the evening was going to go. And we raised a lot of money. They were auctioning off cars, everything else.
Do you think that's okay?
And I was like, well, I got hired as Tony Curry. And my heart came into play there, but I was going to be Tony Curry, the entertainer, because that's who I got hired to be. So I was going to play the act. I was going to be a little entertaining-ish, if you will. And so I did that. And I thought I didn't cross any lines. I was loud. I got in some people's faces, but they knew it was all in fun.
See,
So
I think this goes back to the thing where you talk about my kids or your kids, whatever, in the debating.
Yeah.
So it's super easy to draw the F-bomb. The F word has become part of our vernacular. It just has.
Unfortunately,
it is. I mean, it's adopted the same way. Damn, shit, all of that. It's been, it's in there. I don't foresee it going away unless there is some sort of throwback reactionary sort of thing, and it's not going to come.
when your kids were young, did you drop the F-bomb in front of them?
Yeah, a couple times by mistake. That's the way.
You apologized for it.
Well, no, I learned the word freaking.
Yeah. My kid says spits. Spits. He doesn't even know what.
Yeah,
yes
I
is.
learned freaking because my kids were doing the.
Okay, so what's the difference between a kid saying it at the age of 9 and a guy saying it at age 55? If it's part of our vernacular, if it's part of who we are, then why shouldn't kids be able to say it? And my point being is,
it's a rite of passage.
It's hypocritical. It's not a rite of passage. Whatever. It's a rite of
certain
passage.
age.
Okay, you're 12, son. Drink your
it.
first drink and drop the F-bomb.
That's true.
No, that's bullshit.
See?
No, and there's no rite of passage in saying words. There was that one kid in school in second grade that came to school with all the nasty words, and we're saying there's C word and F word.
Yeah.
And we're laughing, and don't keep saying it because it's going to become part of your vernacular. So, for the most part, I've been around parents where I've accidentally said something like 13, 14, 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, my kid's here. And I respect
see,
that. I'm
that's-
like, I like that because eventually they're going to
13,
do
14,
it.
But there's a certain
There's no reason
age-
for them to start smoking at 15. If they're going to smoke, they're going to start at 18, 19.
Okay, so listen. So my kids are 20 and 22.
Yeah.
And
They're adults, though. That doesn't count.
so, but when they were like 18 and 16, we were having some conversation. I dropped the F-bomb, not out of anger.
Yeah.
I was thing. And it was this moment. I remember it was like seeing your kid naked for the first time. It was this moment because I knew.
Seeing my kid naked?
No, not seeing you. You've seen your kid naked. That's a whole other thing.
I've never seen your kids naked.
Okay, well, God, I
We
would
both
hope
saw
not.
his kid half naked the other day.
Yeah, that's true.
You just saw him a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I dropped it, and there was this quiet moment because it was a part of a conversation. And I went, oh, actually, Jules like, Josh. And I was like, oh,
And do you know why you said it?
because why did I say it?
Yeah.
Because it's part of my language.
Because you were comfortable saying it. And
Yes.
why were you comfortable saying it? Because you
definitely.
because
So
you
what brings you
because
to
you
it?
hold on, yeah. Because you first started using it. And that's my point. You first started using it. It became part of your vernacular because you're used to using it. I do it too.
Yeah.
Last night I realized I had a guy over here and he was like, dude, you're dropping a lot of F-bombs today. And I was kind of like, really? And he
But
goes,
can you
"Oh, yeah."
turn it? You can
Because
turn-
I was very comfortable with him, but he never cusses. And it was starting to bother him a little bit. And I said, I'm
Really?
sorry. Yeah. And I was like, I apologize. I said, I was being very passionate about something. And I was like, this is effed up, blah, blah,
Well,
blah,
you
blah.
do. You use a lot of F-bombs.
So my point is, if you set that bar as high as you possibly can, and I'm totally with you that we're hypocritical in this form of fashion, do as I say and not as I do. But if you set that bar high enough, eventually they're going to broach that bar and they're going to push it up and let them be the ones to do it, but not because I'm saying
Do
it,
you
or
remember
not
the
because they
first-
think it's their dad. We hear that in the military all the time, right?
Do you remember the first time your mom said the F word?
Remember
So
it
do I.
vividly. My mom never
Yeah.
she would say everything but the F word.
Yep.
The first time I heard her say it is when we knew she had dementia.
Oh, really? See, the first time
And we celebrated. She was so angry, and she was like, my dad's name was Dick. She's like, Dick, what the F? We were like, no way, Mom dropped it. And it made her even more angrier. And then she realized that we were making fun of her, and she kind of played along with it. But yeah, I do remember the first time. But I also remember the first time my dad said it. And to your point, it was somewhat of a rite of passage to hear my dad finally say the F-bomb.